The conference room key wouldn't scan, and Lauren Mitchell stood outside her own bedroom at 3 in the afternoon, staring at the blinking red light on the electronic lock. She'd left the Denver Marketing Summit early. The keynote speaker had food poisoning, so she'd caught the first flight home, arriving 18 hours ahead of schedule. Her husband Marcus wasn't expecting her until tomorrow evening. She swiped the card again. Still red dot, then she heard it, a woman's giggle drifting through the door. Not just any giggle. She'd know that sound anywhere. 25 years of sleepovers, road trips, and late-night conversations had burned it into her memory that it was Jessica's laugh. Lauren's hand trembled on the doorknob. Her brain scrambled for innocent explanations. Maybe Jessica was helping Marcus plan a surprise party. Maybe she'd stop by to drop something off. But why was the lock changed? And why would Jessica be in the master bedroom? She fumbled for her emergency key, the old brass one she kept buried in her purse. The lock clicked. She pushed the door open slowly, quietly. The scene carved itself into her mind forever. Marcus, her husband of 9 years, lay tangled in their sheets with Jessica, her best friend since middle school. They weren't just close. They were intimate, comfortable, laughing between kisses like they'd choreographed this moment 1,000 times before. Jessica wore Lauren's silk bathrobe, the emerald one Lauren had received for her last birthday. They didn't notice her immediately. They were too absorbed in each other, too familiar with their betrayal. Marcus, Lauren whispered. They froze. Marcus's eyes went wide with panic. Jessica's face drained to white. "You're not supposed to," Marcus started, then stopped, hearing his own words. "I'm not supposed to be in my own house?" Lauren's voice stayed steady despite her shaking hands. Jessica yanked the sheet higher, covering herself with Lauren's own linens. That tiny gesture, using Lauren's bedding after sleeping with Lauren's husband, cracked something deep in Lauren's chest. "How long has this been happening?" Lauren asked quietly. Marcus climbed out of bed, reaching for his discarded clothes. "Lauren, listen. How long?" Jessica looked at Marcus. Then something passed between them, an entire silent conversation built on shared secrets and private jokes. A whole relationship Lauren had never suspected. 3 years, Jessica said softly. The number struck Lauren like a fist. 3 years meant they'd started right after Jessica's divorce. Lauren had been Jessica's shoulder to cry on during that breakup, had listened to hours of Jessica's pain and anger at being betrayed. The entire time, Jessica had already been sleeping with Marcus. "Get out," Lauren said. "We should talk about this like adults," Marcus said, pulling on his shirt. "Don't come near me." Lauren stepped backward. "Both of you leave, now." "This is my house too," Marcus said. And there was challenge in his voice that made Lauren study him with new eyes. "Then I'll go." Lauren turned and walked out down the stairs, through the front door, into her car. She drove without destination, just needing distance from that bedroom, from those two people who just demolished her entire world. She ended up at a coffee shop 4 miles away, sitting in the parking lot while her phone exploded with calls and texts. Marcus, Jessica, over and over. She turned the phone off and sat in silence, her mind replaying the last 3 years like a film reel. Every business trip Marcus had taken. Every girls' weekend Jessica had suggested. Every time Jessica had visited when Lauren was working late. Every lie, every excuse, every stolen moment while Lauren had trusted them both completely. After an hour, she powered her phone back on and called her assistant, Michelle. "Hey, boss. I thought you weren't back until tomorrow," Michelle answered cheerfully. "Plans changed. I need something from you, and I need you not to ask questions." Michelle's voice turned serious. "What do you need?" "The name of the best divorce attorney in Colorado. And an appointment today, if possible." There was a pause. Give me 30 minutes. Lauren sat in that parking lot and made a decision. She wouldn't cry. She wouldn't beg for explanations. She wouldn't waste energy wondering what she'd done wrong. Marcus and Jessica had made their choices. Now she would make hers. 25 years of friendship gone. 9 years of marriage over. But Lauren had built a successful marketing agency from nothing. She'd survived her mother's death, 2 failed business partnerships, and a near bankruptcy in her company's first year. She would survive this too. Her phone buzzed. A text from Michelle with a name and address. Catherine Stone, best divorce attorney in the state. She can see you at 5 today. I told her it was urgent. Lauren checked the time. 4:15. She had 45 minutes to compose herself. Walk into that office and start taking her life back. Catherine Stone was a sharp-eyed woman in her late 50s with silver hair and an office decorated in dark leather and polished wood, the kind of space that radiated power and success. Tell me everything, Catherine said. Pulling out a legal pad, Lauren described coming home early, finding them together, learning about the 3 years of lies. She spoke calmly, keeping her emotions locked down tight. Do you have evidence beyond what you witnessed today? Catherine asked. Just what I saw, but I want to gather more. Catherine leaned forward. Here's what you need to understand, Mrs. Mitchell. Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, which means the affair itself won't necessarily impact the settlement. What matters is assets, finances, and any criminal activity. Does your husband have access to your business accounts? Lauren felt her stomach drop. Yes, he's on my company credit cards. He said it made things easier when he helped with client meetings. Has he been involved in your business operations? He used to work in digital marketing before we got married. He said he wanted to help more. I gave him login access to some client databases for scheduling. Catherine's expression grew very serious. Mrs. Mitchell, I want you to do something immediately. Go home, change every password, and audit every transaction from the past year. Can you do that tonight? What are you thinking? I'm thinking people who lie about affairs often lie about other things. If he has access to your business information and your friend Jessica knows your operations, they might have been taking more than just your trust. Lauren's marketing firm, Mitchell Digital Solutions, had grown from a startup in her apartment to a company with 35 employees and multi-million-dollar contracts. The thought that Marcus might have been stealing from her business made her feel physically sick. There's something else, Catherine continued. Hidden cameras. You need documentation of everything. Not just for the divorce, but for what might come after. Lauren left Catherine's office with a plan and a churning stomach. She stopped at an electronics store and bought 4 small security cameras that connected to a smartphone app. Then she went to her office instead of going home. Michelle looked up when Lauren walked in. Are you okay? I need you to pull every login record for the past 2 years. Every account access, every file download, everything. And don't tell anyone you're doing it. Michelle stood immediately. What's going on? Marcus has been having an affair with Jessica for 3 years. Michelle's mouth fell open. That snake. That absolute. She caught herself. What do you need? Check every access Marcus has had to our systems. Every client file he's viewed, every database he's touched. Do it quietly. I don't want him knowing I'm looking. I'm on it. Go home, install those cameras, and try to rest. I'll have a report by morning. At home, Marcus's car was gone. Lauren worked quickly, installing cameras in the bedroom, living room, home office, and kitchen. She hid them carefully, making sure they weren't visible. Then she sat at her computer and started checking accounts. The personal credit card showed charges she didn't recognize. A jewelry store. She'd never received jewelry. A hotel in Miami when she'd been at a conference in Boston. Restaurant charges on nights. Marcus claimed he was working late. She opened a spreadsheet and began documenting everything: dates, locations, amounts, and what Marcus had told her he was doing. Then she checked her business accounts and felt her blood turn to ice. File transfers she hadn't authorized. Large document downloads late at night. Database exports that shouldn't have been made. Marcus had been systematically copying client information, pitch strategies, and proprietary marketing algorithms Lauren had spent years developing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Where are you? We need to talk." She didn't respond. Instead, she called Catherine Stone's emergency number. "He's been stealing from my company," Lauren said when Catherine answered. "Everything I've built, he's been copying it all. Document everything. Don't delete anything. Don't confront him. Just document. And Mrs. Mitchell, from this moment forward, trust nothing he says. People who steal once don't stop there." Lauren worked until midnight, building a comprehensive spreadsheet of evidence. When she finally looked up, her eyes burned with exhaustion. But she had something solid: proof of theft, fraud, and systematic corporate espionage. She heard Marcus's car in the driveway around 1 in the morning. She quickly closed her laptop and went upstairs to the guest bedroom, locking the door. He knocked. "Lauren, open the door. We need to discuss this." "Go away, Marcus. You can't just hide from reality." "I'm not hiding. I'm protecting myself from a thief." "A thief? That's ridiculous." "I found the charges, Marcus. The hotels, the jewelry, the restaurants. I found all of it." Silence on the other side of the door. "It's not what you're imagining." "Really? Then, what is it?" "I can explain everything." "Just open the door. Explain it to your lawyer." "I've already hired mine." She heard him walk away, heard his footsteps heavy on the stairs. The front door slammed. His car started. He left. Lauren checked the camera feeds on her phone. They were working perfectly, recording everything, motion activated to alert her if Marcus returned with Jessica. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was Jessica. "Lauren, please talk to me. I know you're hurting, but you need to understand. We never meant for this to happen." "It just did. These things happen. When you find real love someday, you'll understand." Lauren stared at the message in disbelief. Real love. Jessica thought what she had with Marcus was real love. After lying and sneaking around for 3 years, after destroying a marriage and a friendship, she had the audacity to lecture Lauren about love. Lauren blocked Jessica's number. Then she blocked Marcus's. She didn't need their explanations or excuses. She needed evidence, and now she had the tools to get it. She lay awake in the guest bedroom, her mind spinning through everything she'd learned in the past 12 hours. Her marriage was over. Her best friendship was destroyed. But her business was still hers, and she would make absolutely certain it stayed that way. Tomorrow she would change every password, revoke all of Marcus's access, and start building her case. Tonight, she would lie here and accept the brutal truth. The life she thought she had was a carefully constructed lie. But lies could be exposed. Thieves could be caught. And betrayal could be answered with justice. The next morning, Lauren arrived at her office at 6. Michelle was already there, surrounded by printouts and empty coffee cups. "You look terrible," Michelle said. "I feel worse." "What did you find?" Michelle spread papers across the desk. "Marcus has been accessing client files for the past 2 years. Not just reading them, downloading them in bulk. Look at this." She pointed to highlighted sections. 5 weeks ago, he downloaded our entire pitch strategy for the Harrison Tech account. That's a $20 million contract we've been developing for 8 months. Lauren felt nauseated. Harrison Tech is making their final decision in 3 weeks. We present our proposal next Friday. There's more. He's been in contact with someone named Blake Anderson. I found email exchanges buried in the system logs. Blake Anderson is starting a new digital marketing firm, Lauren said slowly. Anderson Digital. He's planning to compete directly with me. Looks like it. And Lauren, I found financial transfers. Small amounts, but consistent. 700 here, 1,000 there. All going to an account in Jessica's name. Lauren sat down heavily. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated attack on everything she'd built. Marcus and Jessica hadn't just fallen in love. They'd been systematically stealing from her, preparing to destroy her business and steal her clients. Call our IT security team, Lauren said. I want Marcus's access revoked immediately. All of it. Every password changed, every login disabled. And I want a forensic audit of everything he's touched. Already started. They'll be here in an hour. You're incredible, Michelle. No, I just really hate cheaters. Michelle handed her a coffee. Drink this. Then we're going to destroy him properly. By noon, Marcus had been completely locked out of all systems. Lauren met with their IT security team and learned that Marcus had also been accessing employee records, including salary information and social security numbers. That was identity theft. Potentially criminal. She called Catherine Stone. We need to talk about pressing charges, Lauren said. Come to my office. Bring everything you found. That afternoon, Lauren sat in Catherine's office with 4 folders of evidence. Catherine reviewed each document carefully, making notes. This is serious, Mrs. Mitchell. This goes beyond divorce. This is corporate espionage, theft of trade secrets, possibly wire fraud. We need to involve law enforcement, specifically the FBI. The FBI? Your client list includes companies in multiple states. That makes it federal jurisdiction. And if he's been selling your information to competitors, that's additional crimes. Catherine looked up from the documents. But before we go to authorities, we need to know everything. Is there any possibility he's done more than this? Lauren thought about the cameras she'd installed. I'm gathering more evidence now. Good. Document everything. But don't confront him yet. Let him think he's getting away with it. People get careless when they feel safe. Lauren spent the next 10 days pretending everything was normal. She moved back into the master bedroom. She spoke to Marcus in clipped sentences. She watched him lie to her face about where he'd been and who he'd seen. And the cameras captured everything. 4 nights after their confrontation, Marcus brought Jessica to the house while Lauren was supposedly at a business dinner. But Lauren had left early, parked down the street, and watched the footage on her phone from a nearby coffee shop. They weren't just sleeping together. They were planning. The audio captured their conversation clearly. She still has no idea, Jessica said, lying in Lauren's bed. She thinks this is just about the affair. The divorce papers will be filed right after her birthday, Marcus responded. That's when her father's estate finalizes. We've waited 3 years for this. 2 more weeks won't matter. Lauren almost dropped her phone. Her father's estate. Her father had died 11 months ago, and the will had been complex trusts, stipulations, conditions she'd been too busy to fully understand. Her lawyer had mentioned her 36th birthday being significant, but Lauren had been too overwhelmed with work to pay attention. Her birthday was in 13 days. She called her father's estate attorney immediately. Miss Mitchell, I'm glad you called. We need to meet before your birthday to finalize the inheritance transfer. What exactly am I inheriting? Your father's commercial real estate holdings. 19 properties across 4 states, currently valued at approximately $7.2 million, plus liquid assets of another $1.8 million. The trust activates on your 36th birthday, and all assets transfer to your name. Lauren had known her father was successful, but she'd never understood the full scope of his wealth. He'd been a quiet real estate investor who'd purchased properties decades ago when they were undervalued. If I were to file for divorce after my birthday, would my husband have a claim to this inheritance? There was a pause. If you're married when the assets transfer, yes. Under Colorado law, he would have a claim to half. Unless you file before the transfer happens. Thank you, Lauren said quietly. I'll see you tomorrow to review everything. That night, she watched more camera footage. Marcus and Jessica discussed their plans in explicit detail. They'd been waiting for the inheritance to activate. They planned to file for divorce immediately after, claiming half of everything. They'd been using Lauren's business information to set up their competing firm, which would launch right as they destroyed her company's reputation by stealing her biggest client's dot. It was elaborate. It was cold, and it had been in motion for 3 years. Lauren made careful notes of everything they said. Then she called Catherine Stone again. We need to move faster, Lauren said. My birthday's in 13 days. That's when $9 million becomes marital property. Then we file for divorce in 12 days, Catherine said. And we do it in a way that destroys any possibility of him claiming a single penny. How? By proving fraud. If we can demonstrate he entered the marriage or stayed in the marriage with intent to defraud you, the court will rule he's not entitled to any assets. We use the camera footage, the business theft, everything. We build a case showing this was a planned attack on your finances and your company. Will it work? With what you've shown me? Absolutely. But Mrs. Mitchell, you need to do something for me. What? Act normal. Act normal. For the next 12 days, you need to pretend you suspect nothing. Can you do that? Lauren thought about watching Marcus lie to her every single day. Watching Jessica text her asking about lunch plans while sleeping with her husband. Pretending she didn't know they were planning to destroy her life. Yes, she said. I can do that. For 12 days, Lauren Mitchell played the role of oblivious wife with Oscar-worthy precision. She smiled at Marcus over breakfast. She responded to Jessica's texts with vague excuses about being swamped with work. She ran her company, built her case, and planned her counterattack in secret. She met with forensic accountants who traced every stolen dollar. She met with IT security experts who documented every illegal access. She met with her father's estate attorney and restructured the inheritance to protect it. And she planned a birthday party. Invite everyone, she told Michelle. Family, friends, business associates. Make it big. Make it public. What are you planning? Michelle asked. Justice, Lauren said. I'm planning justice. 3 days before her birthday, Lauren sat in Catherine Stone's office, reviewing documents that would change everything. With the evidence you have the affair, the business theft, the camera footage of him discussing his plan to defraud you, no judge will give him anything, Catherine said. In fact, he'll be fortunate if he's not facing criminal charges. I want him to face criminal charges. Catherine nodded. Then we coordinate with law enforcement. I have contacts at the FBI. Corporate espionage falls under their jurisdiction. How long will that take? We can file a report now, but they'll want to wait until we've gathered all evidence. Catching him in the act is better than relying solely on past actions. He can't access our systems anymore. We locked him out. That'll work. That'll work. The FBI will want to interview you after the divorce is filed. They'll build their case separately. Natasha felt a wave of satisfaction wash over her. Marcus thought he was so clever, waiting for the perfect moment. But he'd miscalculated. He hadn't known about her father's protections. He hadn't known Lauren would discover his plan. What about Jessica? Lauren asked. She's involved in the business theft too. Her husband will want to know about the affair. Have you considered telling him? Lauren had thought about Brian. Jessica's ex-husband, who'd remarried last year. Wait, no, that wasn't right. Jessica had divorced her first husband 4 years ago, but she'd remarried. Her current husband was David, a high school chemistry teacher who coached track. He'd always been kind to Lauren, always respectful. He deserves to know, Lauren said. But I want to tell him privately, before the party. He shouldn't find out in public. The next day, Lauren called David and asked to meet for coffee. He arrived looking cheerful, completely unaware of what was coming. "Lauren, it's good to see you," he said warmly. "Jessica mentioned you've been really busy with a new client pitch." Lauren felt a sharp twist of guilt. This man had no idea his wife had been lying to him for 3 years. "David, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be very difficult to hear." His smile faded. "What's wrong?" "Jessica and Marcus have been having an affair. For 3 years." The color drained from his face. "What? No, that can't be right. I walked in on them. In my house, in my bed. And I have evidence, camera footage, messages, everything." "I'm so sorry, David." He sat back, looking like someone had punched him in the stomach. 3 years? Since when? Since right after she divorced her first husband. Right around the time you two got married. He laughed bitterly. "Our wedding. I thought we were building something real. I thought she loved me. I thought Marcus loved me too. They've both been lying to us." They sat in silence for a moment, two people realizing they'd been fools. "What are you going to do?" David finally asked. "I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. At my birthday party. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows what they did." "Can I be there?" David asked. "When you do it." "Are you sure?" "I want to see her face. I want her to know that I know." "Is that terrible?" "No," Lauren said. "It's honest." The party took place at an upscale venue downtown. Lauren had invited 60 people, family, friends, business associates, major clients. Marcus thought it was a celebration. Jessica had enthusiastically RSVP'd. They had no idea what was coming. At midnight on her 36th birthday, Lauren sat in her home office and watched the clock tick over. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father's estate attorney. "Transfer complete. All properties now in your name. Congratulations." She looked at the portfolio on her screen. 19 properties. $9 million in assets. All hers. Untouchable. Marcus was asleep down the hall, dreaming about filing divorce papers next week and claiming half of everything. He had no idea he was already too late. The morning of the party, Lauren woke to find Marcus already awake, scrolling on his phone. "Happy birthday," he said without looking up. "Thank you. Big party tonight. You sure you want to do all this?" "It's my 36th birthday. That only happens once." He finally looked at her, and she saw something calculating in his expression. "Yeah, lots of changes coming. You have no idea." Lauren thought at the party that evening. Lauren stood before 60 people and gave a speech that started with gratitude and ended with revelation. "My father left me a gift that I received today," she said. "A gift that's going to allow me to expand my business and start a new chapter. But before I talk about the future, I need to address the past." Her voice hardened. 3 years ago, my husband Marcus and my best friend Jessica began an affair. The room fell silent. But the affair is just the beginning. Marcus has been stealing from my company client information, marketing strategies, proprietary algorithms, all to start a competing business with someone named Blake Anderson. She nodded to Michelle, who began playing footage on the large screen behind her. Security camera video of Marcus downloading files. Audio recordings of him and Jessica discussing the theft. Screenshots of financial transfers. People gasped. Several of Lauren's business associates looked furious. "They've been planning this for 3 years," Lauren continued. They waited until today, my birthday, because they knew I was inheriting money. They planned to file for divorce immediately after, claiming half of everything. Jessica's face had gone pale. She looked at Marcus frantically. Unfortunately for them, they didn't know my father protected the inheritance. They also didn't know I discovered their plan 2 weeks ago. She nodded to Catherine, who stepped forward with divorce papers. Marcus Palmer, you're being served with divorce papers on grounds of fraud, adultery, and theft. You'll receive nothing from this marriage except criminal charges. A court processor handed Marcus the papers. He stared at them in shock. Jessica Anderson, you're being served with documents for a civil lawsuit regarding corporate espionage and theft of trade secrets. Another processor handed papers to Jessica. She started crying. David stood from where he'd been sitting. Jessica, I want a divorce too. Jessica turned to him, tears streaming down her face. David, I can explain. Don't, he said firmly. I don't want to hear it. The room buzzed with shocked whispers. Marcus looked around desperately, searching for an escape. Jessica collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Now, Lauren said, her voice light again. Let's talk about the future. She announced her plans to merge her company with her inherited properties, creating a comprehensive digital marketing and real estate development firm. She announced a new foundation to help women who'd experienced financial abuse in relationships. Her business associates started applauding. Then more people joined until the entire room was clapping. Everyone except Marcus, Jessica, and a few people too shocked to move. After the party, Lauren's father approached her. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Thanks, Dad. She caught herself. Thanks for being here. He hugged her. Your father would be proud too. 2 years later, Lauren stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Mitchell Foundation's third facility, a comprehensive center that provided housing, job training, childcare, and legal services for women escaping financial abuse. 3 years ago, I experienced betrayal that could have destroyed me, Lauren told the crowd. Instead, it taught me about resilience, about strength, about the power of rebuilding. The Mitchell Foundation had helped over 1,500 women achieve economic independence. Her company, now Mitchell Digital Development, had grown to 70 employees and was one of the most respected firms in the industry. Marcus had served 2 years in federal prison for corporate espionage and wire fraud. Jessica had lost her marketing director position and was working entry-level jobs in another state. Her reputation destroyed. But Lauren rarely thought about them anymore. She'd learned that the best revenge wasn't destruction. It was building something beautiful. From the ashes of what came before, she'd learned that trust, once broken, could be rebuilt, but only with people who'd proven themselves worthy. And she'd learned that her value wasn't determined by someone else's betrayal, but by her own strength, character, and choices. As the ceremony ended and Lauren mingled with donors and supporters, a young woman approached her nervously. Miss Mitchell, I wanted to thank you. 6 months ago, I came to the foundation with nothing. My ex-husband had drained our accounts and destroyed my credit. Your foundation helped me get job training. You gave me a place to live while I rebuilt. Now I have my own apartment and a stable income. You saved my life. Lauren smiled. That's exactly why we exist. You saved yourself. We just gave you the tools. After the woman walked away, Michelle came up beside her. You okay? I'm better than okay, Lauren said. I'm happy. For the first time in years, genuinely happy. Look at this. She gestured to the building, the people, the community they'd created. This is real. This matters. You matter, Michelle said. I know. It took a while, but I finally understand my worth. And it has nothing to do with Marcus or Jessica or anyone else. It's just mine. That evening, as Lauren drove home, she reflected on her journey. She'd lost a marriage and a friendship, but she'd gained something far more valuable, herself. She'd discovered that she was stronger than she'd ever imagined. That betrayal, while painful, could become fuel for growth. That the people who tried to break her had actually freed her to become who she was always meant to be. The moral: true strength isn't measured by what others take from you, but by what you build from what remains. Betrayal reveals character, both in those who betray and in those who rise above it. The greatest revenge is not destruction, but transformation, turning pain into purpose and creating something beautiful from the ruins of what came before.